I don't think Guy knew he was going to do that, but neither did I.
Before we leave
School,
childhood, you haven't mentioned Uncle Kingsley.
Oh, right. Yes, well, my Uncle Kingsley in Newcastle, my Uncle Kingsley was a very happy young guy, and he had a harmonica and he had a banjo, and he played boogie woogie piano. And when I was a little guy, I can't remember how old I was. I remember thinking I'm 4. I think I remember thinking I'm 4. And this is for me, because he played this boogie woogie. I'm not going to knock anything over, I don't think, but just something like this. No, guys, you stay where you are, because we've got to have. It's got to be done properly. But have you got? Is this? It was. If you do it was like this. It was like cosmic, just like the blocks of logic just absolutely crashing into place, and in fact, I think pretty much all music's based on that. I mean, there are of course lots of variations, but it's been downhill ever since. And the other thing that I wanted to say was that it takes me an awful long time to do most things. I've got reasonable coordination. I can ride a motorcycle and I can drive a car, and that's about where it. And in fact, if I've got something to do in the studio or something, in my watch, and I can't fit, I'll say, Guy, how do I get that? You'll say, Guy always says 3 words, and he knows what they are even. They give it here. So this song, when I was about 11 or 12 at grammar school, we had a games teacher we were terrified of, called McIntyre, who was an ex-Scots commander, and he did it the army way, which was to terrorise the new ones and to slipper them. Kids can't believe it today, but you used to have to approach him, take your little gym shoe off and touch your toes. And depending on the severity of the offence would depend on the severity of the whack that you got. And he was in a particularly bad mood around Christmas time because the school Christmas party was looming, and instead of giving us rugby out in a freezing cold muddy field, he was teaching us waltzing in the gym. we would sit out there, with our little. He'd tell us he'd bawl. His voice was amplified massively in the gym. We'd have to find a space in the gym and stand there by ourselves, just with our shorts on and bare feet, and he would say, "It's there, and it's there, it's there." And to this day, my ballroom dancing is severely challenged. The school Christmas party is coming. We ain't doing rugby no more. McIntyre's teaching us waltzing out on the gymnasium floor, out on the gymnasium floor. McIntyre's out of the army. You'll be slippered if you get it wrong. McIntyre's din booms loud in the gym. We've only got a little short song. We've only got a little short song. And it's 1, 2, 3, 2, 2, we're all a disgrace. McIntyre tore us apart, and we danced by ourselves when we'd all found a space, waltzing with fear in our hearts, waltzing with fear in our Comes the day of the final maneuvers. All of our heads are a whirl. It's getting much closer to D-Day. This time we're gonna do it with girls. This time we're gonna do it with girls. In the arena, the ladies were waiting. 12-year-old partner to guide. Some matches were fixed, the rest of us mixed, and a fat girl got a lift at the side. Fat girl got a lift at the side. And it's 1, 2, 3, 2, 2, we're all a disgrace. McIntyre tore us apart, and we danced with ourselves when we'd all found a space, waltzing with fear in our hearts, waltzing with fear in our hearts. When you come to my fights and I'm under the lights, and you see that my footwork is false, don't count me out at the start of the bell. I'm just doing secondary walk, doing secondary walk.
And went on to Leeds University and read English and graduated and taught English, and during that period started his first band, Cafe Racers. But I think it would be really interesting to know when you and the guitar got together and how this first band started.
Well, yeah, it's I mean that's it was a wrong roundabout way, and it takes a lot of playing and a lot of bands and a lot of years of this and that and everything, Matthew. It's a huge amount of stuff, but what I really coveted as a teenager was one of these. There was a called the Fender Stratocaster, and they started building them in 1954, and which is pretty futuristic when you think about it. It's quite a primal kind of an object, you know. But I was so desperate for one, and I pestered my dad. Way beyond poor old dad. So all he could afford in the end was a £50 version, you know. Oh, these things cost 160 quid back then, or something like that. It was a hell of a lot of money. You know? But anyway, he got me a copy, a type of one, you know, which I think I slept with on the first date.
And your dad was very keen to encourage you as a musician.
Well, he never, bless him, he never stood in my way. I think they always rather wanted I'd play the violin or the piano, but this is what I wanted to do. And it was actually useful. I started with a tennis racket this way, and then my sister said, "No, you can't play that because I'm left-handed." And she turned the tennis racket back round, and learning with the fiddle, it means that your left hand wants to go that way, like that. So it's quite natural to me. But boys used to make these in the woodwork room at school, and I used to be so in love with them. I used to was the guitars, not the boys. I used to go down to the woodwork room and used to watch them making these things, and just so that I could maybe get a chance to hold the body even. And that's how badly you've got to want something. Right? It's important that you find that thing in your life that you really love. And anyway, I stuck out the guitar. And the old guy in the shop said, stick at it when we were walking out. And I did. You've just got to try to make your hands go at different places. And I started off playing with a plectrum, with a bit of plastic. And I still use it, and I still love it. I still use it for strumming and doing all sorts of things. It's actually a lot better than fingers. But because I didn't have an amplifier, I didn't have the nerve to ask my dad for an amplifier because he spent 50 quid on the guitar. So I plugged it into the radio